Hi, welcome. My name's Luke Thompson, a director at Introlegal, which is a boutique recruitment agency based out of Cavendish Square. Thank you for joining us for episode 2 of our Q&A series, Your Next Stop Partnership. I'm pleased today to say that I'm being joined by Robert Bray, a partner at Squire Patton Boggs. Thank you, Robert, for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So, Robert, would you just kindly introduce yourself more formally, let us know kind of the department you head up and a bit more about your firm, please?
Yeah, of course. Robert Bray, head the London corporate team at Squire Patton Boggs. Squire Patton Boggs is an international firm. We have over 1,500 lawyers globally. We're in 22, I think it is, at this very second countries. The biggest offices are in the UK and the US, but we're across Europe, Middle East, and Asia. The corporate team does work for a broad spread of people in the mid-market M&A space. So deal sizes are anything between 20 to 500 million, typically, in that kind of broad spread. We do smaller, we do larger, but that's where the day-to-day work is. And it's for, say, large companies like PLCs, mid-size private companies, and smaller early-stage companies or family-owned businesses looking to exit.
I remember when I first met you, Rob, I suppose I had a perception in my mind of what it would be like to meet such a partner of such a big firm, international firm, and I couldn't believe how approachable you were, actually. So it kind of just blew away my preconceptions of what an international law firm partner might be like, having just been a kind of a mediocre partner in the regions myself. So it was very refreshing when I first met you, and I'm really pleased that you agreed to do this.
Well, it's a pleasure.
So Rob, obviously you've received the list of questions that I've sent over to you. So I'm going to delve into those now, and I'm intrigued to start with the first one, which was for you to let us know your kind of best and worst memory of when you were a trainee.
Yeah, I've been racking my brains on this one, I must admit, because it's a while ago now. But I mean, worst is easy. When I was a trainee, I was at a firm that had multiple offices in multiple cities. And late on the Friday, I got a call from the training partner to tell me I was moving to another office in another city starting on the Monday. So I had to spend the weekend desperately trying to find somewhere to live in the new city, which was somewhat of a challenge, and I ended up in a horrible flat, where when I went to view it, there was actually somebody standing outside going, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I thought this place was empty, I thought it was derelict," but I had a couple of days to get somewhere to live, so I went for it. So that was easily my worst moment. The best, to be honest, the best memory I have back from being a trainee is actually the people that I met and the friends I've made out of it, that 20 years on I'm still in contact with and fairly regularly see. I think that's probably the best experience of my trainee time looking back, was just the people I met and the friendships I made.
And so, Rob, moving on then to, obviously, you move along in your career and you've got the responsibility of billing and having to become commercially aware. I mean, what does commercial awareness mean to you, and when did you recognise this as being an important factor to the success of your career? So
I think I'll take those in reverse order. I think when I became aware was very early, and that's because it was drummed into me at the firm I was a trainee and now at Squires. The partners, when I was a junior lawyer and as a trainee, drummed it into me that it was absolutely essential in the kind of work we do to develop and always think about being commercially aware. But what does it mean? It kind of means an awful lot of different things, but I guess if you're trying to summarize it into kind of a short soundbite, it's really thinking about why you're asking for something and thinking about what that will mean to your client, how your client will understand it. Always think about what does this mean for the client, but also what's it mean for the other side? Am I making a reasonable request? Or am I asking for something that no commercially sane person would ever give? Why am I asking for it? Is there another way to achieve it that maybe commercially will be more acceptable to people? Rather than always trying to think of what's the best legal answer, how could I, what does my precedent say? How would I normally achieve this? It's thinking around those things, thinking about the client, their business, how can we help the client's business, not necessarily just being an obstacle, effectively, as lawyers sometimes are viewed, around trying to just find an answer that just works. It's, well, what's going to work best for the client? How can I solve the client problem? So I think it's probably, as I say, it's a lot of different factors, but that's trying to summarize it. It's kind of, maybe that's the best I can achieve on that one.
And do you think it's become more difficult to capture business given the competition in the market now?
I think it's all, there is a huge amount of competition, and very different firms will try different ways to try and differentiate themselves. But it is very difficult to capture. I mean, on the plus side, in a large city like London, there's a lot of opportunity as well. So whilst it is a challenge, there's a lot to go after.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think it probably has got more difficult, and you get new challenges, looking at doing things new, different ways. So it probably has got more challenging, but there probably is more opportunities as well.
And in terms of business development, Rob, I mean, what does business development mean to you?
So personally, I think it's anything that you do for the benefit of a client that isn't chargeable. So it could be doing a favour for the client. It could be helping them with, sort of talking to them about something completely unrelated to work. It could be just going for a drink or a lunch. It could be going to an event. It could be writing blog posts or an article. There's a raft of different BD, and no one's great at all of them.
Mm.
But there's a raft of different things I think you can consider as BD, and will build relationships with people, which ultimately is what BD is about.
I mean, did you ever envisage before, entering into law, that you'd have to do so much BD, or as much BD as you did, kind of getting up to where you are now in terms of your career?
No, because I think as an early stage, what you think about is doing the work.
Yeah.
And everything you thought about when you were, learning to be a lawyer, trainee, etc. You think about just doing the work, and you don't really think about how that work arrives and the efforts involved in securing that work. So honestly, no, I didn't. It would have been very far from my thoughts as to the kind of level of BD that's required.
And what type of BD would you say that you do, or tend to try and do on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis?
So personally, most of the BD I do is either one-to-one or small group, and whether that's coffees, lunches, drinks, just meeting with people to discuss opportunities, whatever it is. Personally, it's that. I've never been a big fan of big events. Mm-hmm. Some people are great at those. They work the room fantastically. Never particularly been a strength of mine. So don't tend to do that. Never been particularly interested in a huge amount of writing articles and things like that. So I do give training courses to clients and things like that, but not a huge amount on that side. So a lot of it is one-to-one and relationship building rather than big staged events.
I think that's it. That's actually really positive to hear, because I think there's often a misconception you have to be good at all elements of BD. But in fact, if you feel that you are stronger in one element, then essentially use that to essentially better your career development, than have to worry about trying to do them all. That's interesting, actually.
Because I think there is a perception when you're a junior lawyer, you see the partners and you think they must be great at all levels of BD, but actually none of us, things don't come naturally to certain people. So while some people are fantastic in a big room, work the room, will come back with 10 business cards or whatever, others are much better in a one-to-one. Some people are very good at writing articles and get leads and opportunities out of that. I think it's finding what you're best at and being self-aware enough to work out where your strengths are and do that more, and then work on your weaknesses and try to get better at them. But not everybody can be good at everything. I mean, there are a few people who are great at all areas, but they're very rare.
And obviously we know that business development would, in theory, or you'd hope, lead to someone being able to amass a client following in a business case. I mean, how did you essentially get to the stage of reaching partnership at an international firm like Squire Patton Boggs? It's a hell of an achievement. I mean, how did you create that business case, that client following?
So it's a lot of different things, I think. Yes, there was a lot of BD, and obviously over a prolonged period, because BD takes a long time to come to fruition. It's very rare that you meet somebody and they instantly or within a very short period give you work. You've got to build that relationship over a period of time. So yes, a lot of BD, but also there's other factors. I was lucky. I was at a firm that was very supportive, so the partners were very supportive. So gave me opportunities to build relationships with some contacts and existing clients that I otherwise wouldn't have known. Also, to some extent, luck of timing, because you can be working on a contact for 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it may be, and it just so happened at the time that I was going for partnership, some of those came in. So in the 6 months, 12 months before I was lucky enough to be made up, some of those landed, whereas it could have been that they didn't land for another 12 months. It could have been, so there's an element of luck sometimes to the timing of things as well. So I think it's a lot of different factors, but and to be honest, one of the biggest areas to some extent of BD is just doing a good job for clients who will then come back to you, but recommend you to other people. And actually, in some ways, that's some of the strongest BD you can do, because clients who've been recommended by people and have heard you've done a good job, or clients who are returning, is a great source of work. So I guess it's a combination of all of those factors, and no doubt some other things I've forgotten as well.
But that's interesting, because I'm going to kind of jump forward to one of the questions I had for you, was that for those people who haven't yet reached partnership at their existing firm and are at a certain level of PQE, what would be your advice to them if they're not seeing partnership track opportunities presenting themselves? And also, when do you think they should start considering other options, or what could they do to perhaps make that track a little bit quicker than it appears to be presenting itself at that time?
So it's difficult, because all firms have different timings as to when they consider people for partnership. And to be honest, we all develop at different speeds. So whilst there will be the occasional high flyer who is ready very early, often it takes people longer. And I think I saw a stat the other day that the average partnership now in the city is somewhere between 8 and 10 years often. Now, there are many firms who will make people up faster, ourselves included, still making people up earlier than that when they're ready. But it's about that being ready. If the opportunities aren't there, sometimes it's a case of patience, but also pushing yourself forward. Don't wait for someone to tap you on the shoulder. Be proactively doing things. So if there are opportunities to do training that is going to help you, then proactively look for that training. I mean, some firms run specific programs for people. So we run a program we call Aspire, for those who are a senior associate and are ambitious and want to become partners. And so part of that is giving them some of the skills, but also actually just building the confidence. Because a lot of it is confidence, because a lot of the skills that people need, people will develop. They may not quite be there yet, but they will have them. But it's the confidence in knowing in yourself you can do it. So take advantage of the training opportunities there are. And if it gets to the stage where you feel that the opportunities just aren't going to be there, and there are some firms where it's harder than others, then by all means look at the alternatives and think about, should I be thinking about another firm? Should I be looking at other alternatives? Maybe I've decided actually after all that partnership, maybe for me, looking in-house, look at something else. But I don't think there's a hard and fast time when you can make that decision. It's more about, I think, knowing what at the firm you're at you need to achieve to be partner and trying to get clarity. Now, not every firm will give very clear guidance around that. But I think probably a lot of firms will. And if you think you've achieved everything you've been asked for and you're still not getting the conversations that you want, that's probably the time to be considering. Or if you just can't get clarity around what that is and you think, well, actually, it's just not going to happen. But otherwise, to some extent, there's an element of patience. And, if you move at the wrong time, does it speed things up? Sometimes, if you move to the right firm, but sometimes not. So I think it's understanding what you need to achieve and then taking the opportunities to try and grow your skill set to make sure you're achieving those. And if you've done those things and the opportunities still aren't there, then maybe that's when you consider whether you may have to think about a different a move to reach the opportunities you want.
Yeah, that's really insightful, Rob. Thank you for that. That's really good tips there. And then in terms of partnership, how did that change for you in terms of your working day life when you were a senior associate?
So a lot more admin, um, a huge amount more admin, a little bit more control over your working life. It'd be a lie to say as a corporate lawyer you ever have control, because clients are demanding, deals move fast, but you certainly have a level more control over your life and work-life balance and those kind of things. And then you do a lot less drafting and a lot more client-facing time. So whether that's client meetings or thinking about things for your clients, a huge amount more of that kind of work. So it changes the balance of your work, and it changes, I say, you have a bit more control than versus a senior associate where obviously you put the hours in, you do what you need to do to try and get on, and you're always at the behest of the partners and your clients. At least as a partner, you're still at the behest of the clients, but you've got a bit more control over things.
I think as well, I think what's interesting about when you become a legal partner is that when you set out to become a lawyer, you think you're essentially working with clients and you're just working on the law. But when you become a partner, you become a manager of people. And often lawyers aren't geared up for that. And I think that's often the biggest shell shock for some people.
I think so. I mean, you get a little bit of experience of that as a senior associate. You'll be managing a trainee on a transaction or a junior associate or whatever. But yes, that is also an element of it. Is that managing of people and as you get more senior as a partner, you end up managing more people. And that, as you say, isn't something that you ever thought about when you were a junior lawyer, was that side of things. And it's not a skill set you've necessarily had a lot of training in. So
it's interesting. It sounds like Squire Patton Boggs have got the right formula there. They've obviously got this training program in place to help you gear towards partnership and kind of prepare you for that step.
Yeah, we do. I'd love to say it was around when I made partner. I don't think it was, but it's something that we've developed, and I think it's useful. I think it gives people the confidence and the understanding of what they need to do and the confidence that they can do it, which is a large part of it, I think.
So Rob, what would you say the most attractive features are working at Squire Patton Boggs?
So I think number one is the people, personally. I mean, I've been at the firm now for coming up 20 years.
Wow.
And one of the things that's kept me there is the people and the culture. It's a very friendly place to work. Genuinely like the people I work with. So that's number one. The global nature of the firm is fantastic. It hugely helps me anyway in the work I do with clients on the M&A side, and having clients that can access us across the globe is a real help. And then I think just the flexibility the firm gives to allow you to develop your career in a way you would like. So if you think, well, actually, I really like a particular area, tech or financial services or whatever it may be, allowing you to develop your career in that direction and supporting you to do it, which has been another thing that I think has helped me to get to the stage I'm at now. So I think probably those are some of the key things that personally I've found as a real benefit of being at Squires.
And given your global presence, I mean, do you get to do much traveling as part of your role as a partner in the firm?
Yes, yeah, I do. Not tons, but yeah, I do. We have global partners conferences where we all get together. We have meetings across the corporate team in EMEA, which may be in various different places. So yes, I do, or for client meetings, or for whatever it may be. So yes, yeah, I do, but not masses. With a young family, it's a balancing act. But yeah, I do.
And for any aspiring lawyers who will be watching this video, Rob, I mean, if they want to do corporate law at a firm like Squire Patton Boggs or a firm similar to yours, I mean, what should they expect in terms of commitment, hours, when working in a team like that, given the pressures of some of the clients you must work for?
So it's fair to say that corporate law is probably one of the more hour-intensive areas of the law. So it is difficult to get a work-life balance if you compare it to many other jobs. it's difficult to get a work-life balance. That said, different firms have different levels of balance. I'd like to think we get it about right, but there is a lot of, there's a lot of commitment, a lot of hours required, a lot of effort. It is up and down. So when you're in closing a deal, the hours are long. But similarly, you will have quieter periods where you can have time back. So it's a very up and down nature. It's very transactional. You don't know when you go in of a day, exactly what your day is going to look like, which is one of the things that attracts people to corporate law. But at the same time is, flip side of the coin is also, a downside to some extent on a work-life balance at some times. So I think it's probably that challenge between the requirement to work hard, because M&A tends to have short deadlines. Clients need to get things done. You've got to achieve deadlines. So there's that balance between that and your balance between personal life.
And Rob, would you be able to share for us one of your favourite inspirational quotes or words of inspiration for aspiring junior lawyers?
It's interesting. I don't massively go in for inspirational quotes. I think I would say that the majority of junior lawyers will have the necessary skill set to actually go on and be partner if that's what they want to do. I think a lot of it is having the drive, the confidence, and putting in the hard work that's needed to get there, and taking the opportunities that come along as you go. Now, it isn't for everybody, so lots of people will decide actually it's not what they want to do. But for those who want to do it, it's actually have the confidence that all the partners at all the firms you will see were all junior lawyers who all have the same questions, the same doubts that junior lawyers now will have, and we all made it. So believe in yourself and take the right steps. And if it's really what you want to do, then have confidence you'll get there.
I think that's great that you said that, because it just demonstrates, certainly to me and certainly to those people watching this video, that partners at big firms, they can still empathise with junior lawyers and say they remember being there. And I think that's really important, because I think that often people might have an image of what it might be to work at a firm, a big international firm, and what the partners might be like. But the fact that you've even said that, I think that's great.
Well, I think anybody who says they don't remember their time coming up, sometimes it's obviously harder to remember than others, depending on how long ago it may have been. But I think it's important that we remember what it was like for us as we came through. And whilst it changes, every generation will be slightly different. I think it's important that we, as you say, try to empathise and remember what it was like.
Robert, you've shared some really encouraging kind of words of wisdom during the course of this interview, and I really appreciate you giving it the time, because I really do appreciate how busy you must be. So I am really grateful to you for that.
No, it's not a problem at all. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Take care.
Thank you.